Good day to everyone there in the internet. This is Frank the Vamp, and this is World Cinema Reviews. And today we're going to take a look at the film Cemetery Man uh, from Italy. The film's also known as Della Morte dell'amore, which roughly translated means of death and love. And this is a film directed by Michael Soavi, starring Rupert Everett and Anna Falchi and Francois Haji Lazaro. And let's let me tell you a couple of things why I wanted to talk about this film. This film's not so well known in the United States. In fact, I think it released here and it did fairly poorly. However, it's starting to gain like a cult following. And I like this film because it does have a lot of that type of Dario Argento's nightmarish quality. In fact, the director Suavi, he has worked with Argento before, and I can completely see Argento's influence on this nightmarish influence film and his use of color and other qualities. And I can tell that Suavi has been influenced by other directors, which we're going to talk about. But let's just talk about the plot. And right off the bat, I'm going to tell you this is not your usual movie. In fact, this is so bizarre that you just got to have an open mind. But if you ever seen something artful, something like modern art or so, where the plot is not the main, it's not the main driving of this film. It doesn't drive this film. That's another thing that kind of reflects to me on sort of like Argento's Suspiria, where the plot's not the main device. It's just the visuals. It's just the journey. You just kind of see how it flows, and it flows so awesomely that you just can't stop watching. It's just like watching a train wreck. You just go. You just can't. It's so horrifying to look at, but you just can't take your eyes off it. So the plot. Okay, boy, this is gonna be hard to explain, but I'm gonna try my best to explain the plot. Right. So Francesco della Morte, played by Rupert Everett, is a caretaker of a cemetery, and he works there with his mentally handicapped sidekick Nagy, and they pretty much live life, as any, you know, as any person that works in a cemetery, with one exception. Seems like it in this reality, in this specific cemetery located in Italy, uh, people come back from the dead. They come back as zombies. Yes. 7 days after they've been dead, they come back and they try to pretty much as every zombie film try to run amok and kill people and eating them. However, De La Morte's job is to put them back on the ground. So he's packing a gun and shoots them, and then they bury them back again. And uh, it's really weird and bizarre because the mayor of the little town where they live, he sees this, but he doesn't say, "Oh boy, why does this happen? Why is there such a why is there such occurrence? Should we investigate the ground? Are we close to some kind of weird phenomenon? Is this a paranormal? Is this created by some kind of chemical? Is this a disease?" But it's never explained. It's just that the mayor is so focused into winning an election that is coming up that he pretty much just pays De La Morte to just keep it under wrap and just don't say, don't, kind of, hush hush, keep it quiet. If the dead rises, shoot him, put him back. That's it. So, and you'll see, there's a little side plot with the mayor that there's a mayor of the city that later on you develop see how much of a bastard he is. He doesn't care about anyone or anything. as long as he wins the election. And that's a little subplot, but it's worth talking about. Now back to the plot. So there's this lady, this beautiful, gorgeous lady played by Anna Falchi that comes in and she's crying about she goes to the cemetery and she's crying about the death of her late husband, and she's lamenting the fact that apparently the great husband was an awesome lover and just an awesome dude, and basically she misses him and she cries every day and she goes back to the cemetery, and Della Morte notices this and he falls madly in love with this character, and he's not used to being around the living very much, so he doesn't know what to talk to her about, and he's very shy and awkward about it. And at first, she when he tries to approach her, she kind of like shoos him away and doesn't talk much with him. But as time goes by, he he tells her that about what he knows, that there's a crypt underneath the cemetery. There's some catacombs, and there's some dead things there, skulls, dead tissue, things like that. And amazingly, that apparently turns her on. That she gets fascinated about it, and they go down to those catacombs. And when she sees the skulls and she sees the dead. By the way, side note: in this is not very uncommon. I have been to France, and I seen that there's in Europe a lot of the old cemeteries. I assume in the United States as well, but I'm just not that familiar. But I know that in Europe, there's a lot of family plots where there's a lot of people buried in the same mausoleum type of thing, or maybe there's just the poor were all put into this common grave type of thing. The thing is that you just see so many skulls and just so disturbing, and this scene is just incredibly beautiful because even though it's sort of morbid, but that's like what I was saying earlier. That's that Argento quality of this nightmarish world, where you see these horrible things, and then she's carrying this handkerchief of bright colors, and all of a sudden she decides that she's turned on and she starts kissing Della Morte, and then she regrets and runs off. But once again, the use of color. Um, this film just uses so much nightmarish qualities and just so it's so disturbing but just so enjoyable. I'm sorry, I need to keep talking about the plot, but I just keep getting sidetracked about the visuals. The visuals are pretty much what I like this film for. But we're going to keep going with the plot just to tell you what happens. The film changes a little bit here, and here's the turning point where I'm not going to spoil it because there's really nothing to spoil very much here, because it's once you get to the film, the end of this film, you'll just wonder. This is more like a journey. It's not a destination, really. I mean, it's not a cliche either. This is when you see it's just things that happen. And what ends up happening is that she just gets completely turned on in some other occasion when they're at the cemetery, and she wants to just get it on with Della Morte, and on top of the husband's grave they start pretty much having sex, and which is really quite disturbing. But Della Morte is in the back of his head, he's thinking like, oh boy, what if this husband comes back from the dead? But they're so occupied at the time that he just went with it. So, and of course, you just this is not a big spoiler. The husband comes back, comes out of the grave, bites her, and she appears to die because of it. So Della Morte just feels awful. So he kind of keeps a watch of her coming back alive, coming back after a certain amount of days. But basically, when she comes back, Della Morte shoots shoots her, and later on, turns out that apparently she wasn't really dead. She probably just suffered some type of attack, and De La Morte basically killed her, thinking that she was going to be a zombie, and she wasn't. So this traumatizes him, and then he he starts having this awful depression and guilty trips, and this is when it gets even more bizarre. The Grim Reaper, yes, the actual Grim Reaper shows up in this film, and man, is that thing scary. Like I said, I love horror films. Not a lot of things scare me. That thing scare me. So Death starts talking to him and says to stop killing the zombies because they're his. However, he should consider start getting rid of the living, and that makes perfect sense to De La Morte, who all of a sudden goes into a killing rampage, just killing regular people, like human beings that are walking around, and usually the ones that annoy him the most. And he's picked on a lot in the community because he's so weird, he's so bizarre, and that's where the movie goes into really creepy territory. If it wasn't creepy enough, because we don't really know what's going on in De La Morte's mind, and we don't know if this is some kind of crazy killer that is just imagining this whole thing, or this is really happening, because the people in this film act so weird that no real human would act this way. It's like watching like watching your reflection in a funhouse looking mirror, where it's you, but it's a distorted you. And this is what this film is about. So now, I'm gonna let you see the rest of the film. If you do if you do feel curious about this film, I definitely recommend it. Why? Wow, it's creepy. It's creepy. The visuals are haunting, nightmarish. It's awesome. It's an awesome zombie flick, man. There's zombie killing, and not as over the top as I don't know, the Return of the Living Dead type of thing, or any of the you know more gory George Romero's. But there's some elements of that. So there's definitely some influence on that. There's some influences with Evil Dead. I mean, there's a scene that, man, you'll think you'll be watching Evil Dead. Uh, there's some dark comedy elements, but then there's also creepy elements with De La Morte killing people. Kind of reminded me a little bit of American Psycho. Where you see a character acting in such an incredibly narcissistic, horrible way, and people act like nonchalant about it, like this was a normal thing, and you don't know if this is reality or this is some kind of weird thing going on. So this is definitely Artsy. Like I said, it's a flow. It's a movie flow that just it flows like a river. It's not the destination. It's all about the journey. I definitely recommend that you see Cemetery Man if you're into watching weird visuals. A film that is really entertaining because you really want to see how it ends. The like I said, influences all around from directors all over the world, and just an overall good film that not a lot of people know about. And I definitely think it's worth checking out. You may differ from me because like this is one of those films that not everyone's gonna like, but it's definitely worth checking out just for the visuals alone. And man, that Grim Reaper, you gotta see it to believe it. So take care, guys. I'll be back. With many more videos. I'm working on more Argento. I want to bring also some Guillermo del Toro. I want to bring you more Spanish, Mexican. I want to bring you some Korean soon. I'm going to bring you some more Italian horror. we're just gonna tackle all over the world. Plus, I have a I plan to actually do a little American section, but it's just gonna be my kind of like the films that I like, my guilty pleasures. So I'll talk about some American films in a guilty pleasure section, but I'm just so excited to be doing these videos for you guys. I hope if you like it, say you like it. If you didn't like it, tell me why. And take care. God bless. Take care, and you guys have an awesome day. Thank you for watching.